Mathew Wilkinson here. It's day 5 on the Ghost. Director's log. Everything is going well. Well, actually, we've had some rain that's kind of put us back a little bit, and we did have a late start on day 1. But, you know, we've got a dolly track that's still uncompleted, and everyone's cold and freezing, but we're getting there. We've done some pretty good stuff so far. And here they are. This is Josh.
In the
sound
flesh.
extraordinaire. Some sound guy.
Yeah,
That's how we credit him.
That's right.
And that's
You gotta superimpose that when you put all this together.
Scott. How has everything been so far?
It's been fucking cold.
Right. And how has your acting been besides fucking cold? It's been kind of cold.
It's been cold and wooden and terrible because of the temperature. Because it's set in winter.
Have you enjoyed yourself so far?
Yes.
Highlight so far from the day's filming?
That's I don't know. It's still early days. So,
early days?
Yeah. Highlight probably, I don't know, finding a porno DVD, maybe? Perhaps.
Alright, final day of shooting here. It's been really, really intense. A lot of stuff you haven't actually seen on these behind the scenes camera. We've had a lot of dramas, a lot of accidents, a lot of disasters. We're on our last roll of film. We're gonna get there. This is the last sunset. It's like watching the Titanic go down. Charlene?
Are you serious?
That was bullshit what you just did. No, it was crap.
But I just screamed how you told me this. Fucking
Bullshit.
serious?
Josh, what did you... That was crap. Out of crap. It even sounded like crap.
It was alright, it was all over the shop.
It's the crap directing that's going in
bullshit.
bringing this stuff down. Are you serious? Get out of here, Matt.
No.
I'll eat ya.
Alright,
No.
truth is, Charlene, I've had this major crush on you, and I'm just telling you know, come on, let's go.
I'm really glad you have the same feelings.
The Ghosts was this film about a really dysfunctional family that were on vacation in the Australian outback, and they sort of collide with these 2 criminals who are on the run from the law. And the criminals take them hostage and stick them in this abandoned hotel. And the hotel is haunted. It becomes a film about paranoia. It was like crossing The Evil Dead with The Thing, with John Carpenter's The Thing. Coming up to our accommodation for the night. This delightful 8-bedroom hotel.
Renovation delight.
Oh, actually, we can't park at the front because we're going to shoot up front.
It was like this house that looked like it was almost just about to topple over and collapse, and I just thought, that looks really cool. This is going to look really good on film.
The house was a little bit rickety, and there were some places we weren't allowed to go for fear of roofs collapsing.
It was filthy, it was a demolition waiting to happen.
One of the biggest issues, I think, what scared everyone was the house itself. It looked like it was going to collapse, and trust me, it was going to collapse. There were floorboards everywhere, the walls could fall down, bits were crumbling everywhere. Thomas, the gaffer, decided that he was going to set a light up on the roof of one of these old wooden beams. I thought that was a stupid idea, but he did it anyway and he survived. I mean, we really broke a lot of rules. We had insurance, obviously, on the house to protect ourselves, but We went out and we made a film with no safety officers whatsoever, and we had cars crashing into each other. We had explosions, people falling through windows, people getting into fights, and we did it with no proper health and safety assistance, which was probably a stupid thing to do. But I'm sure I'm not the only person who's gone out and done that sort of stuff before. Jack, we're going to have you over here, patting yourself down.
Yeah, when Sutter walks in.
When Sutter walks in with Will. Now basically we're shooting, back this way, keeping most of the action around this little area here. Yes, cool. Let's find out. Tanya, don't forget the club lock. I came up with the idea for the ghost around late 2006, early 2007, around that time. My dad lived in outback South Australia, and one day I just went for a drive and found this little ghost town called Johnburg. And it's not on a lot of maps. It is there, but it's very small. And in this town of Johnburg, there's really one or two little houses, abandoned houses, and then there's this giant abandoned hotel. And I thought to myself, this is the perfect place to make a film. This has so much potential, and there's all this fantastic landscape, and it's a part of the world that's never really been seen before. I probably wrote the script for the ghosts in about 3-4 months, and it took a good year of pre-production. We did it, most of 2007 we were in pre-production, acquiring finance, getting, props, costumes sorted. Because we were a low-budget film, we, did everything ourselves. And I was working with a crew of about 5 people. I had an art director, a DOP, a camera assistant, a grip gaffer person, and a sound recordist, and 2 makeup artists. So that was basically my entire crew. And, from those people, we went out and basically did all the pre-production ourselves.
Especially in those early days, there was a hell of a lot of nerves on my part, but that quickly, dissipated once we started filming, and once we saw the landscape and everything that was out there. It just seemed, it seemed much bigger budget than it actually was.
I just thought, we are in the middle of nowhere. There is no civilization. It was insane.
What I didn't expect, we were set up at the town hall, and that was decked out in, that had electricity and running water and bathrooms and, kitchen facilities and everything, and that's in the middle of the desert. I mean, why would anybody have something that runs like that in the middle of the desert? I thought it was, amazing that was out there, and only, a minute's walk from this amazing location that we had. I thought that it was divine intervention, that all this stuff was where we needed it to be.
We basically rented that out for about $100, so that was a really good deal. You'd walk through this place and you'd just see all the different set areas. There'd be the rec area and the production design area, the makeup area, the sound gear, the camera gear. It was a great little setup that we had. It was perfect.
The first day of filming, all I remember was the very first scene that we were shooting was the end of the movie, and I had to get these contacts in my eyes. When we actually went to get to the ophthalmologist to learn how to put them in, it took me 45 minutes to put one in one eye. And here I was on set told, we're filming this scene, you need to get those in. And I couldn't get it in. The 2 makeup girls were standing either side of me saying, yeah, this is how you do it, just, sort of get it on your finger. I just couldn't get it in, and then thank God they eventually got out there, very, very nervous about it. And I kept asking Matt, our director, sort of, what do you want me to do? And I just felt a bit inadequate at that stage for the task.
The first bit of the day we'd have car driving this way, and then turn around, car driving that way, and then close-up of car driving this way, and then close-up of car driving that way.
The first day of shooting, it was cold. It was so cold.
When we were actually on set, we were huddled around this little bonfire that was out there, and honestly, you'd actually just be nearly sitting in it to try and stay warm, because I think it got down to 0 or -1. It was so cold.
Things started going wrong from day one, and basically what happened was we were originally set to shoot the film on digital. We were going to shoot on digital, and I was told the quote was about $6,000 to shoot this film on digital. I was then informed about 2 days out from shooting that their prices had changed, and was sent their new quote, and that had gone up an extra $3-4 grand, which we didn't have. So we had my Super 16mm camera. I had this old Super 16mm Bolex camera, which I'd never properly used. It had been serviced. I'd had it checked out, but I'd never actually properly put a roll of film through it. But you know, we were less than 48 hours out from shooting. So, you know, what's the gamble here? Do I shoot the film on something even, you know, a little bit more low end, or do I try and make this film as epic as I can and shoot it on something like Super 16? And, you know, I went with it. I went with the Super 16, and maybe that wasn't the best decision. And roll sound, and camera rolling, and action. Cool. What I'll do is I'm going to roll off the end of this film, basically on Charlene. You've got one more line, which is, Daddy, there's something wrong with me.
Yeah.
Right? I'm going to basically punch it in close on you. I'll get you to basically...
Isn't it 2 lines?
No, I think it's like 1, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
We've done the obsolete line.
It wasn't until we started doing the night shoots that sort of the odd problem tended to pop up with the cold, and the camera wasn't dealing well with the cold. And we had some film issues, and the camera, you know, sort of the heat expansion or cold expansion or whatever it is, stopped the film from winding on properly, issues with that. There was dust and dirt everywhere.
It got down to freezing temperatures. I think the camera froze one night. We had to stop early because there was ice forming on it.
Weather can screw you up so bad, and you know, the weather wasn't staying, I guess, consistent, and so there was things that were being pushed back. But at that time we were like, oh no, it's okay, we'll be able to, you know, that's why we have the extra couple of days at the end for, we'll tack it on there, we'll be fine. Unfortunately that wasn't the case, and it was a race to the end.
What speed was I doing? What speed was I doing? About.
No, you weren't doing anything stupid. You were just driving.
Yeah, that's right.
Jack wasn't doing anything stupid. I don't buy that.
No, I was just catching up to you guys, and but it wasn't like 100 k's an hour.
It's not going to close.
See that thing up there?
It's not going to close.
Have to take it off.
What we had to
Yeah.
get through to make
It's the only way you can do it.
We strap it down.
We should have strapped it down before we left.
Yep. It's a shoot-up thing. You know, if I'd have known it was going to flip up, I wouldn't have even tried to go above bloody 40 miles an hour.
It's just coming away.
Go back and get some straps.
Because I was thinking,
Yeah, I turn around and I hear a bang and I look and I was like, oh my god, we've hit a sign. Like, what kind of signs are even out here except those little yellow ones every now and then?
As the bonnet flew up, I thought, oh yeah, here we go, chitty chitty bang bang, the car's going to take off.
Oh, good fun. Good fun. And then they say to me, put the bonnet back down again. Yeah.
It was broken. It was broken good. They had to like get a big strap around it and tie it down, which actually ended up working pretty well because it needed to be a dodgy rental car and it definitely looked dodgy.
Jack Henry, stunt car driver. You want the job done? I'll do it.
what basically this thing here has been.
And roll sound, speed, and roll camera, and action.
What are you doing?
I'm leaving. Wait! Stop! What? Listen.
What is that?
It's my mobile phone. It's what? Shh. It's somewhere in the house.
That's good, isn't it?
No, you don't get it. I lost my mobile phone somewhere in the paddock near my car. So what's it doing here?
We went way over budget. We budgeted the film originally at $30,000. By the time we were finished, we'd spent about $57,000. Here's the factors to remember. Fuel prices in July 2008 around the world went up. Fuel prices hit $2 a litre in outback South Australia. Not to mention that we also had a generator that we had to fill up with diesel petrol every night. At one stage we actually ran out of food. We budgeted our food at $2,000. It ended up costing us about $4,000, if not more, in food. I actually had to call my grandparents up and they loaned me about $1,000 in cash plus another $500 or so just for some extra food. The accommodation cost us about $6,000 all up, and production design ended up being about $1,500. We spent about $1,000 on insurance to cover our arse. We just had stuff that we were buying that had no relevance.
Oh, I've got a lovely close-up here.
And that's why they call him Mad Matt.
Oh, look at those eyes. Oh God, we've got to play this back later. Anger.
And slate it.
The anger?
Sorry, what was my line?
Matt, waste film here.
Nick off. Jesus. I've got. Are we ready? No, we're not, because we're piss farting around.
Matt, at the very beginning of when we first met, the audition process, Matt was so positive, and for such a young person, to me that was just amazing, for somebody to have such vision, to be willing to put himself out there and risk so much. I just thought that was fabulous, and the fact that I was going to be part of it was just going to be so exciting. And then as problems happened and personalities sort of started to put pressure on him, you could, and when we had problems with the camera, you could see how frustrated and how upset he was getting, but he was holding it in.
That you could see the pressure getting to Matt, particularly after, you know, a lot of conversations with one of the actors, a lot of sort of heavy conversations that, you know, he didn't want to have, and, you know, he shouldn't have had to have, basically.
The biggest thing about making an independent, low-budget film is always going to be about who you bring in to be involved. It doesn't matter what equipment you've got to work with at the end of the day. It doesn't matter what your budget is at the end of the day. You can make a film with, you know, $100. The thing is, what it comes down to is the people that are willing to commit to the project and put in 110%. And that's where I didn't do the right thing. I cast an actor who looked determined, who looked willing, but was only in the film for their own good, was only in the film to achieve for themselves. And yet they walked off set, they blew up, they gave me a mouthful. They said I couldn't direct.
And it was just this one actor who, for reasons unknown, just thought that it wasn't working, and I have no idea why. I mean, everything was running, by that point everything had been running smoothly, there was no problems at all, and the first problem on set was him.
Pulled me aside away from everyone else and basically said, "You're a shit director, you're doing a pretty shit job, and to be quite honest, I'm going to walk off set unless you reshoot all my scenes again." So I I lied to the actor and said, well, you know what, we'll reshoot your scenes towards the end of the shoot.
We all knew how he felt, but he didn't know that we knew that he felt like that. So this one night he brought Matt a gift, and he'd obviously bought it before the shoot and had it shipped down. So we're sitting there, and he's going, oh, okay, everybody come in, you know. Matt pulls it out, and it's a chair, you know, like a director's chair with his name on it. And Matt's like, oh, great. Everyone thought this was extremely weird because everybody knew what this guy had said to Matt and to Tanya and to everybody else. And he's there laughing, thinking that everyone loved him and thought, oh, you know, what a nice guy, he's gotten this present for Matt. And he went over and hugged Matt, and you could see Matt just sort of sitting there thinking, what the hell is going on? And everyone is just thinking, what is with this guy?
Tanya copped a lot of crap from Mr. X, and it wasn't until I really noticed Tanya in tears, and I really felt for her, that I knew he had to go. And even though, you know, he kind of walked off set, I kind of told him to walk off set. And the thing is, you know, he walked off set and he tried to, he was expecting like some sort of congratulations clap, and he didn't get it. He never got a pat on the back, he never got a see you later. He got these stares from the rest of the cast members. He got looked down upon because he had put the film in jeopardy. Which was sort of a blessing and a curse at the same time, because, I mean, one, there was a lot of pressure on Matt to change the script, and it was changed drastically from what we had planned. So that was written, and I think the climax suffered because of it. I think had he stayed on and had we been able to push through with what we intended to do, it would have looked much more spectacular and been much more effective and looked much more, you know, been much more entertaining for people. But because he left, we weren't obviously able to do that, and we had to finish it off still adequately, but just not as well as we would have been able to, I don't think.
After this actor left the set, we still had issues, but it was almost like a weight or a cloud had been lifted off everybody. We just all banded together again, and we were like we were in the first week, the main group that just all helped each other and worked together to finish the project, and it was just so much better.
All right, and quiet on set, and roll sound,
Speed.
and roll camera, and action.
Did you see her face?
Cut. Thank you.
Our DOP are conjunctivitis, and there was only one eyepiece for the camera, which is probably the most unfortunate disease for her to have contracted in those 3 weeks.
We were on set, and the director of photography comes up to me, and this is probably midway through the shoot, and they've got the light meter in there like this, and I've gone, what's wrong? And they've gone, oh, the light meter's coming up with these really funny readings that they don't seem right. I've been like, so I take the light meter and I look at it and I'm like, wow, these readings are really off. What have you been doing? Oh, well, I've been doing what the light meter's been saying. And then again, in my mind, I'm like, oh God, what are we, is this going to be okay?
Yeah, there must be something that doesn't want this movie to be made.
The days just kept getting longer and longer. I mean, I lost 6 kilos in weight. My pants didn't fit anymore. I was probably getting 5 hours sleep a night. I wasn't probably eating properly. Things just in my mind just kept swirling around in circles. My vocabulary was terrible. I would start sort of muddling up the beginning and ends of words. I was starting to find it very hard to communicate with people.
Yeah, just I just want to see if the bottom of it's going to go. Easy. She's going to go, no worries.
We were going to shoot this scene, and I needed some gaff tape for one of the vehicles, and I sent the two makeup girls off to get me some gaff tape, and they never came back. And like 20 minutes had passed, and the sun was setting, and I'm freaking out, like, what is going on? What are they doing? So I tell the DOP, go back, get me some gaff tape, and do not talk to anyone on your way back. So the DOP goes off. Anyway, some tourists drive by, and they're gone, you know, there's a car accident up the street. We get up we get in the car and we drive up the road, and the makeup girls had flipped the car. The car looked a wreck. Technically, Davina should have lost her head. She was in that passenger side, and the passenger side roof had literally collapsed inwards. She should not have a head.
They were so lucky. Apparently this van rolled 2 or 3 times with the girls in it, and just so lucky that they'd had their seatbelts on, because we'd been a bit naughty a few times and not bothered with seatbelts because we're in the outback and those things don't matter. And they were lucky they'd had their seatbelts on that time, and they'd rolled the van, and Foxy, as we called her, or Davina, she hurt her leg and she had to go down to the hospital for it, and so both girls were sent to the local Oruru hospital and got checked out. Now they were okay, but poor Davina, her leg was a bit stiff. I'm not 100% sure what she did exactly, but she couldn't walk on it properly for quite a few weeks.
That vehicle was actually my uncle's, and my uncle had put so much of his own time and effort into the film, and now, you know, we'd gone and destroyed his van, and I just remember him being out the front of the hospital, and he's walking up and back, and he's, you know, there's steam coming, you know, out his nostrils, and he's looking really red in the face, and he turns and grabs me, and he just looks me dead straight in the eyes, and I could tell this was it. He was going to give me the yelling of a lifetime. My uncle was about to, you know, tell me what a failure I was, and he just grabs me, he pulls me up, and he goes, get me a packet of cigarettes.
When that happened, and when everyone had come back from the hospital and everyone was fine, you know, we were down a car that ferried about 9 people, and morale was already pretty low by that point. So after that happened, I just thought, that's it, we're packing up and going home. We might, you know, run out the next, you know, the last few days of film on just whatever we can, and then see if we can pick it up at another time. But I honestly did not think that we would get to the end. I did not think that we would film enough to finish a movie.
I remember getting on the phone, and I called my mum, and she said to me, give up because you can't do this anymore. You are hurting people, you are hurting yourself, you're hurting so much, you're hurting your own reputation, you've got to stop making this film. And you know, for that moment, my mum was right, but my mum was also wrong. I had to keep going. I couldn't give up because the other cast and crew members weren't giving up, and I wasn't going to give up on them, so I kept going.
The final day of shooting, I think, was bittersweet. You know, we'd been through so much, we were so tired. I think all we wanted is just to rest.
We had 1 roll of film left, 1 day of filming left, and we got through it. My biggest achievement on The Ghost is that we actually shot everything. We got every scene done in the end, and we did it by rewriting the ending too, because an actor walked off set. But we did it. We actually shot everything, and that was a really nice feeling. Is that we did get there in the end.
I'm ready. Are you ready? Okay. I'll have to get someone to radio in. Tell them to go. 16, yeah. Okay, call it, Ash.
You know, if you feel ready to make a feature film, then you're ready to make a feature film. It's just about the budget. It's just about, you know, knowing elements and controlling those elements, and working with people that you can trust.
It was heartbreaking to some extent. I mean, because we'd gone through all of this. We knew we didn't have the movie that we set out to make, but we knew we had enough footage to make a movie. So when we'd wrapped and when we'd flown back, you know, we thought, okay, it may not be what we expected, but it's there, we've got it, we filmed enough to make a movie.
So we packed everything up and we got back to Adelaide, and we were waiting, we went down to the beach before we had to catch the flight out of Adelaide, and I finally had a beer, and I was really looking forward to enjoying this beer, and I could finally breathe. And the phone rings, and I look at it and I answer it, and this person on the other end says to me, look, you've returned the lighting gear back and it's dirty, and that's going to be another $400 just to get the lights cleaned, and I'll see to it that you never work in this town again. And for the first time, you know, over the last 3 weeks of hell that I'd been through, I walked out of that pub, walked onto the beach and started crying. I thought I was over and done with all of it. And to have someone say to you, you know, you'll never work in this town again, is actually kind of harsh.
Going for a take. All right, and roll sound.
Speed.
And roll camera.
Oh.
And action.
I'm sorry, sweetheart. Die! Will you just die, damn it! Die! Die, honey!
I was in major debt. I sold the camera off. I sold the camera off just so we could get the processing done. We got the processing done. Processing said that the film reels should be fine. Took it to Telecine, got it into Telecine to, you know, convert the film to digital. So we got the film into the Telecine, and the first reel comes up and there's picture and it's all there. Second reel comes up, it's not there. It's not there. Out of 25 rolls of film, 5 rolls didn't work. And out of the 20 rolls of film that we did have, about 60% of that was there. The other 40% was underexposed. It was too dark. You couldn't bring it up. It was black. It's gone. It hurts. I got really depressed. I didn't know what to do. I didn't have any money. You know, here I am. I'm 21 years old. I've got no money. I'm now in debt. And I don't think I have a film career anymore. You know, that's the way I looked at it.
Okay, and let's roll sound. And roll camera. And action.
shopped this thing around for months. He'd sent it to everybody. He made a video of himself saying, asking for funds to finish it, and I was just, part of me was thinking, Matt, maybe it's time to shoot this horse. Maybe it's over. So when he said that, the movie wasn't going to be what it was, I completely accepted that.
That was when I said to myself, I've got to stop this project. It is killing me. It is killing me financially. It is killing me mentally and emotionally. I had to stop, so I did. I stopped with the ghosts, and I spent 6 months pretty depressed, pretty upset. And then, I mean, the thing is, life goes on. And, you've got to keep at it. You've got to keep pushing at it. You've got to keep doing what you love. And that's what I decided to do. I will just keep doing what I love.
Camera's rolling. Action.
You want this? You want this body to help that piece of shit? Well, I've got news for you. This is my body! And the only one who's gonna fuck with it is me!
Still looks fairly similar, doesn't it?
And
the roof's still on.
The roof's still on.
The veranda's gone.
The side veranda's gone, yeah.
Yeah, all
side veranda's collapsed. But
it all looks pretty solid though,
it's
still.
all pretty much how it was, wasn't it? Really, yeah.
Here we go. After you, Matt.
Last time we were
the
here.
floors don't look too good.
It's better than what I expected.
Yeah, this is pretty similar. Like, I wouldn't say much changed here.
Yeah.
This is all a bit. What's your footing?
Sure.
Around here.
Yeah.
This hallway is a bit.
Alright.
This is all collapsed quite a bit here. This up here was one of the reasons I wanted to shoot in this room, because I always thought that looked like blood, like dried blood that had been dripping down the wall.
Absolutely.
And I was always like, we've got to get that somehow in shot.
Yeah. No, that's fantastic.
I kind of hoped it had collapsed
a
bit, because I think for me, if it had collapsed, it's kind of like...
It's over.
It's
over.
Yeah, it's emotionally over. It's gone.
I think that was.
That's all us.
That's all the blood marks.
Yeah.
All this black is where we would have
brain and blood.
The brains and the blood. One thing about after the ghosts and knowing it had completely collapsed, and I was already in a state of mind where I was down in the dumps and questioning my own sanity and questioning what I was doing with my life. I remember it was actually probably 2 years after the ghosts had come to an end, and I get a phone call from Mr. X. And Mr. X gets on the phone to me, and that's when sort of the violent threats actually started. There were a couple of phone call conversations where he would call up. There were some emails in there too, and he sort of was making comments like, I will make sure that every film project you ever work on is destroyed. I will destroy you.
I think all of us understood that kind of premise was not going to be trailers, champagne and caviar, that we were here to get dirty, dusty, no sleep and get a film done. And it astounded me that a person surrounded in this environment with everyone else in the same situation thought that they were different. or thought that they were entitled to anything that anyone else wasn't.
To get threats after the ghosts and knowing that, yeah, okay, I mean, I was probably the person that walked away from the ghosts the most hurt and the most affected anyway, but I guess for it to still linger on 2 years later, it was scary. It was scary to think that someone was still out there with this vendetta against you because of something that happened to them for 3 weeks of their life.
It's the humble players in this game that last the longest, and that while ego has its place in the industry, it needs to be monitored and kept in check.
I thought Mathew was a little shit. I was flabbergasted that we could have dragged all of these people down from Queensland and South Australia and all over the country to a set in the middle of the outback of South Australia, spend 2 weeks busting our guts filming, all for it to be wasted because someone didn't flick a switch.
You know, the likes of Johnberg again, well, I mean, insurance and all the OHS all starts to come into play today because unfortunately there's a huge risk there. Was a structure, working around a structure, we didn't know how secure it was. We didn't have an engineer to say, well, that could fall down any time or that might fall on someone.
The thing you have to remember is that this film was meticulously planned. Nothing hadn't been, thought of beforehand. Every base was covered, and it still went wrong. And it was outside forces. It was just, it could not have been avoided.
That's the scary thing with anything you take on today. Whether I take on a project or anyone does, and it's getting highlighted out there everywhere. So, and that is all going to add cost to everything that's done today around the country. Whether you're a plumber or a filmmaker, the overheads are just going to go up as much as you try and keep them down with certain things.
And it didn't take long before I started feeling very sorry for Mathew. And I started thinking about how he must be feeling, because really at the end of the day, it was his investment, it was his writing, it was his directing, it was his money, and it was his leadership, and it was all of those things that he was committing to that had just completely fallen to pieces, collapsed like a house of cards.
Really, if you ever wanted to see a complete rendition of the ghosts, I could make the radio show tomorrow very easily. We have maybe not all of our footage, but we have all of our dialogue.
I think the biggest issue I personally had was being unsure of what else I could do with myself, what else I felt comfortable and happy doing with my life, and that became kind of scary when you sort of take away what you love. One of the sayings I sort of go by is I'd rather be a failure at something that I love than a success at something that I hate. So I tried to put that principle into my life after the ghosts and push forward and try to come up with a project that was going to be a lot safer to make and a lot easier to make, and that's where the Nullarbor Nymph was sort of born from.
And he goes, "I've got a new idea." I said, "Sure." And he said that it was going to be a film called The Nullarbor Nymph, and it was about a naked girl in the desert. And I think his exact words were, basically, it's just going to be a horror film with a bunch of running around and slashing up and fun. And I'm not a big horror fan, so I sort of looked at him and went, "Oh."
I wanted Mathew to make another film because I wanted to work with him again.
I had a whole lot of questions. How is he going to fund it? Where is he going to get the resources?
It was pretty obvious that trying to find the funding to do another film, or trying to attempt another film, was going to be pretty much going to have to come from myself somehow. I mean, I funded the Nullarbor Nymph by cleaning toilets at a school.
Sometimes we've got to, perhaps some cases, treat the filming industry or making as a part-time hobby so you've got and concentrate more on just your day-to-day. Sometimes getting a job you don't even like, but it might pay the bills. And in your spare time, you can still work on these projects and treat it like a hobby, I suppose.
Matt first sent me the script for the first draft of The Nullable Nymph, and I read it, and I think what I said to him was, "This will kill your career."
When I was writing The Nullable Nymph, the process was very similar to actually writing The Ghosts. My dad moved to another outback town, and I went out there and I found the Nullarbor, and I heard about this nymph, about the Nullarbor, this legend about the Nullarbor nymph, and I saw a film in that, and I wanted to make that into a film. Very much like going out to John Berg and finding this old hotel and seeing a story in that.
Hello, this is Stranger Jake Stevens. I'm being chased by a naked woman.
I repeat, I'm being chased by a naked woman.
You lucky bastard.
I thought it could end up being a big flop because without money, let's face it, how can you make a great movie or a film with very little money?
I saw the joke in The Nullable Nymph, I saw the humour in The Nullable Nymph, and I sort of thought, this is a really funny story to tell, and I can tell this story without needing a budget. That, I think, was the clever thing about The Nullable Nymph. If you actually made The Nullable Nymph with a budget and tried to tell a proper story, it wouldn't have the same impact. What makes The Nullable Nymph a fun film is the fact that it is poking fun at itself and going, there's no money here, this is bad filmmaking almost.
That's what we wanted to accomplish in the film, was that there was this sort of like, just, you know, if it's not working, put more big tits in it. It's ultimately like a kind of film that is not thought about as being a serious endeavour. And ultimately, very few people had faith in that film. And I knew it'd work because it's a light-hearted bloody laugh.
They call her the Nullable Nymph. She lives out here, out under these stars, searching for food, searching for men. I tell you, she makes my mouth drool just thinking about her. Now, I must admit that the old bottle of scotch came out, and the more I drank, the better I got. That devil woman, when I encountered her, she left a mark. These hickeys have never healed. But I reckon next time, instead of half a bottle, I should drink the full bottle.
Paul just said, "Oh, it stopped raining, you can go again." I just jumped out the car to start filming, and then it started just raining straight away. I think it's about 12:30, and we've done 1.5 scenes, and I think we're meant to do about 6 scenes today. So I think we're going to get there, but I think it's going to be wet in the process. I've just got to keep watching the camera. Oh, the joys of low budget filmmaking! I tell you what, it'll be the death of me. It'll be the death of me.
There was very minimal crew. It was Matt, and he was camera operator. He, I think, was lighting. He had an assistant director who also helped with continuity. He had a makeup girl, and then he had the cast. That was it, and that was downscaled from the previous film we'd done, where it was like 20 plus crew.
When the first sort of cut of the film came to me, and I had a look at it, I did have a small heart attack because of sound. Always nerve-wracking when listening to something that maybe hasn't had a dedicated sound department on.
The strange thing about The Nullable Nymph is it was the first finished film that I had actually gotten to the stage where I was able to show it to an audience. And that hadn't happened yet. It had been such a long journey. It took 5-6 years to get to that point of actually finishing a film and being able to show it to an audience. And the first premiere we showed it to was in a small town in Ceduna to about 200 people. And I got up to make a speech and I couldn't talk. No words could come out of my mouth because I was in a strange foreign land all of a sudden. I was standing in front of 200 people that I never thought it was going to be possible to do. And knowing the restrictions of the Nullarbor Nymph and knowing how low budget it was, I shat myself, basically. And then we pressed play, and I walked to the back of the room, and about 70 minutes later, there was applause. There was people standing, there were people crying with laughter at what they had just watched. And it was very surreal. It was very surreal.
For what it was outstanding.
Remembering that I was the first person to tell Matt not to do this film. I was the first one to sort of stand there and say this will not work. And for it to have worked, it was completely unexpected to me. And I was shocked that we were getting the treatment that we got.
The snowball effect from that premiere to have then Sydney come and say we're gonna plaster your film's title up on the out the front of the cinema, and we're gonna have the red carpet and the lights up for you. It's to me that was, I guess, the dream come true.
That's something that does not happen for every independent filmmaker. It wouldn't happen for 5% of independent filmmakers.
I mean, you just don't, as an average guy from suburbia Adelaide, think that you're going to walk along a red carpet with 50 cameramen, camera women taking snapshots of you, with hundreds of people clapping and calling out and trying to grab your autograph.
It was a premiere that you dream of, it wasn't a premiere that you get, but we got it.
Nullarbor Nymph as a production model ultimately, to me, describes a lesson learnt from Senor Wilkinson. That model was more scaled back than what The Ghosts was, but the final delivery and the audience that it's achieved has become much greater. And I think that, to me, that is an incredibly positive story of progressive filmmaking.
In the case of The Nymph, for example, The Nymph didn't make its money back. The Nymph got to DVD, and it made a lot of people smile. That is a success in some extent, but it also opened up doors, and it gave us connections and knowledge.
When the Nullarbor Nymph finished, and we had all this great success of the Nullarbor Nymph, and it's released to the world, it hasn't brought in oodles of money, and it hasn't really led to more success as such. But it hasn't. It's when people sort of say, well, that's enough, you sort of say, well, why stop now? That's my philosophy on it. Why stop now when you're learning from your mistakes? Because you'll only keep learning from your mistakes too. That's the other thing.
The success of an independent production has nothing to do with the amount of money made. It has nothing to do with getting a premiere or a distribution or even having friends and family pat you on the back and say, well done. In my opinion, the success of an independent film is measured by your ability to get another gig. It's measured by your ability to make the next one, because you're not in independent filmmaking to stop at 1 or to stop at 2 or to stop at 3. You're in there to get a career.
In my limited experience that I had then, that was the first ever independent filmmaker with no budget. And when I say no budget, I mean someone that has not been given any grant from no grant from the Film Corporation, no grants and fundings in tens of thousands of dollars. This is his money. This is family money. And for him to acknowledge the fact of me, that when I come away for 3 weeks that I've got bills to pay and I've got rent to pay, he's not offering me a rock star salary, but he's offering me money because he knows that we're not artists, we're people. Like, we need to eat and drink and survive. And the fact that it was the shittiest amount of money I've ever been offered on any job that I've worked up until that date, it was the best offer of money I've ever had in my life, because it was acknowledging me for the fact that I should be paid for what I'm doing. And I don't do it for the money, but the fact that someone recognised that and recognised that we can't make movies without budget is the first step of an independent filmmaker that knows what they're doing.
My dream as an independent filmmaker is a blessing when you can stand there and hold your product like a baby, I guess, and go, this is mine, and you can show it to the world. And the world might not like it. They might think, that's fucking ugly. But that's when it's a blessing. It's a curse when it doesn't happen. When it collapses and your film doesn't happen, well, you lost something. You lost something that you cared for very much. And it's tragic in that regard. So independent filmmaking, I guess, is one of the riskiest things I think anyone could ever do. But it can be incredibly rewarding when it happens, and it happens right. Tanya and I have looked at the script and stuff, and there's a heap of pickups that we completely missed. And that's going to be a problem. No, I'm fucking kidding. You
just say the magic words!
That's a wrap.
Yeah!
My coffee cup.
Yes, you better get that out of shot.
Thanks. Like the coffee and shot was the sound guys. Okay, and action rehearsal.